Yo, what do you do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, back with you with a new fanfic for you guys. And this is one I wanted to do for at least a little while, and it's kind of the start for me to do other Code Geass fics, actually. This is Code Armored, The Flames of Geass. Basically, a Armor Core / Code Geass fanfic story. And if you guys notice, about a couple months back, or at least a month back, I was planning on doing that of a Code Geass / Armor Core fanfic story, actually. Because unlike that of the Gundams, which for my, Code Geass Rise of the Divine Knights, I basically shrunk down that of the Gundams. Because the Gundams are basically 4 times bigger than that of an average nightmare frame in the world of Code Geass. So yeah. Well, armor cores are pretty damn big, but they're not on the same height and size as that of a Gundam. But at least close enough to an armor cores are kind of similar to the same, are somewhat similar to the same height as nightmare frames, just at least several feet taller, actually, which is good enough for me, to be honest. But I won't lie, at least some armor cores will actually be at least way more taller than that of, nightmare frames. But even so, I still think it'd be interesting. As for the main character of the story, well, just wait and see. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? Chapter 0. The Collective's Chosen. In our world, in the current year 2024, last year in 2023 was a good year for mecha fans, as a long time old video game franchise that has been around for almost that of 10 years made its dramatic return to that of gaming. This being the Armor Core series, with the latest installment, Armor Core 6, The Fires of Ibis. Given that it was a From Software's game, the same company that's basically involved in charge of that of Souls-based games, mainly Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, Code Vein, and many, many, many more, people believe that this was just going to be another, Souls game, just mecha-based. Oh, little did anyone know. As for somebody like me who has been in love with the series since, I can remember, seeing a series that was believed to be once dead now make a dramatic return to that of gaming, it can't help but make me excited to see even more. As for me, the name is Jean Nerverl. I'm a bit of a mixed breed kid, to be honest. My mother originally comes from Iraq, while my father, on the other hand, is full-blown American. You would think with parents like this that, it would be pretty heartbreaking, to be honest. And you would have that of a difficult childhood. On the complete and total opposite. Both my parents are both caring and supportive, to be honest. My father is kind of an open-minded guy. He calls himself not a sheeple, actually. He prefers to see facts instead of seeing that of just listen to what other people just have to say without plausible evidence. Because of that, he kind of made me somewhat of a not believe in anything. From don't believe in religion, don't believe in that of atheism, just believe in yourself. And believe in that of cold fact, logic, and reasoning instead. As for my mother, she was always kind and caring, also quite timid as well. After losing her parents, Iraq had nothing left for her, so she had some friends in America, got in contact with them, and let them stay with them for the time being before she met my dad. Since then, it's That's just how my life has been. Well, except when you're born basically after the whole, certain incident, it can be quite, overwhelming, especially during that time for my mom. It was quite stressful, especially having me for her. I hear that she got through it pretty well, even with a bit of complications. Patriotism may have been high, but prejudice for anyone who lived in that of the Middle East at the time was basically even higher. Well, you can get the idea. My childhood wasn't all bad. It wasn't good, but at least it wasn't all bad. I had some friends that actually just liked me for me, instead of their parents basically telling them not to be around me. But even so, it was alright. But during that time, I got into I was a huge mecha fan, to be honest. I always liked giant robots. To me, they were always the coolest of all time. Any series that basically had that of a giant robot and a person piloting it, it always made me so excited and wanting to see more and more. It also got me into a bit of technology and building my own that of robots as well. Unfortunately, my middle school didn't allow that of a robotics club, so I can only build robots with that of my dad and a few friends that still kept in contact with me after all. However, my middle school, on the other hand, I did add that of a request to create that of a club, and I also brought up the fact that there were robotic battle competitions that offer that of prize money for that of certain schools. And given that my teacher was the kind of person that wanted to bring more prestige and fame to the school after all, so it'd be easy for its students to get that of scholarships, let's just say he was on board on it first time I just said scholarships. Since then, the club has grown at least out of a good, 20 members actually. Surprisingly, given that we live in Texas of all places. But even so, let's just say it was still, my life with my family, friends, and schoolmates wasn't half bad. It's only when I started to graduate from that of college that things became a little bit complicated. Love for mecha anime and anything mecha related was starting to become quite, forgettable and not even cared too much about, to be honest. It was a huge shame to the point that even with the scholarship that I got to basically be accepted to that of a tech college in Texas, it didn't really pay much for tuition. Even my old friends that always admired that of mecha anime and robots in general basically just started to fade from it as well. Heck, I almost felt like nobody bothered caring about it as much. Since then, I haven't really kept in contact with anyone else outside of my parents. But speaking of my parents, when I was finishing up my first year at at my college, I got a call from my dad telling that my mom ended up with cancer. Since then, my mom has basically been fighting day in and day out to survive. And almost part of me wanted to even spend time with her, but she told me that me getting a diploma and getting a degree is what's more important. Even saying that she's keep on fighting as long as she can see all the hard work that she and that my father went through for me would pay off. So I didn't let her down. And after at least out of a good year of me finishing school and getting my associate's degree, you would think my mom would be happy. Little did I know, on the very day when I found out that I'd be graduating, and at the end of my graduation video, found out from my dad that my mom passed away in the hospital. It was heartbreaking, to say the least. Since then, I put my diploma to somewhat good use, basically doing that of coding, programming, working on certain machines for a few companies as well. Won't lie, feels kind of wrong putting at least some good people out of their jobs. due to my robotics, but even so, it's still my living. Can't change that just because I feel bad for people. But things never get that easy, to be honest. After my mom's death, a few years later, my dad basically became a bit of an alcoholic. Losing my mom basically broke him. He still tries to do his job, but there were a few times he almost got fired. Try to spend time with him as much as I can, but most of the times when I do, guy's in a goddamn drunken stupor. But even so, he is aware that I'm there. And I think he's at least thankful, even though he's always tipsy anyway. But even so, I still try to be there for him. Sadly, I wasn't always there for him all the time. At a Toyota factory, working on at least that of a few machines, calibrating them and everything. As soon as I finish up, I get a call on my phone with it saying, "Hello, you've reached that of Jean Vargas. May I ask?" With it saying, "Mr. Vargas, I have some horrible news." Saying, "What's going on?" "Your father, he was a drunk driver and he got into a crash. It killed him on impact. I'm so sorry." With that, Gene couldn't help but drop his phone before tears come down his face. So at that moment, I realized life is a goddamn bitch, and it doesn't care on who it screws over. Turns out, Dad was on his way to work, but he was still a little bit hungover, so he didn't. As soon as he made a turn, he pulled on the steering wheel too hard and flipped his car. It only flipped twice, but let's just say the second flip basically caused his neck to snap. Amy came to the realization you can't always be there for everybody that you care about. Dad's funeral was small. It was mainly just that of, close family members and friends, and that's it. No one else. It wasn't open to anyone else. My grandparents died a long time ago. I did have at least a couple aunts and uncles and cousins too, but we were never close. Especially they were still family. They still looked after my dad, but given that he wasn't really big on Christianity, since he basically denounced it and just followed his own path and followed more of a world on facts and logic instead of belief, it kind of put a strain on his relationship with our family. And since I followed the exact same ideas as he did, let's just say my relationship with them was somewhat just as bad. Not too bad, but close. I had some friends who sent me condolences and were worried about me. After that, I just didn't care anymore. I had nothing. I didn't care about nothing. All I wanted to do was just fade away. But let's just say life has better options for me. I decided to use my tech skills for better. I decided to enlist now the military. As somebody who was 25 at the time, I think it was time for me to at least try to change a little bit. The military could still use somebody for that of cyber warfare or that of engineering robotics, after all, especially when it comes to drone technology. I enlisted, and in at least the next couple of weeks or so, I would be fully part of the military, mainly the Air Force, to take care of drones, after all. Even though even though I always wanted to make that of my own mech, like a Gundam, or that of a armor core. Armor cores seem a lot more feasible than that of a Gundam, to be honest. Hell, I would even take that of a Nightmare. Sure, they're insufficient and inferior machines, but even so, they're close enough to. I would love to basically make at least one, or at least make an armor core in the world of Code Geass. That would be awesome. As soon as I went to sleep, little did I know, I would end up with that of the biggest wake-up call of my life. Currently now, I'm in that of an empty white void, with that of multiple picture frames basically everywhere, show some blank, some not, some with illustrations of things I don't know, while some with that of illustrations I do know. Because looking in this world, it looks so familiar, but I couldn't put my finger on it. But then, looking around, can help as the person saying, so you know this place all too well, but yet you can't remember it? Why is it when it comes to you humans, you always forget or don't even care about the things that you see? With then, too, Jean can't help but be shocked, saying, what the? Who's there? Saying, in front of you. Within, soon, the tan-skinned, black-haired young man couldn't help but be shocked and surprised with then seeing that of a figure basically basically nothing but that of a black void with that of just pure white eye, with that of pure white eyes, but having that of a genderless figure, to be honest. With it saying, who are you? Saying, I have no name, but you can call me the collective unconsciousness, or rather, God. My main purpose is to keep the world of C in check. With then saying, wait, the world of C? Wait a minute, this is the world of C? You mean the same world of C from Code Geass? Saying, well, it looks like you do remember. Thank you. It makes this a lot more easier for me than just fully explain. Saying, I want to know on how the hell I'm here, to be honest. Then saying, oh, right. That would make sense. You would want to know. Well, you see, the world of C is more than just the collective unconsciousness of the world of Code Geass as you know it. It's basically the hub world of keeping an eye on that of the multiverse of the so-called world that you know as Code Geass. With then saying, wait, hub world? Wait, are you saying that the world of C is basically supposed to just keep an eye on multiple realities close to that of Code Geass? Like, for example, in the manga, Lloyd is actually a teacher at that of, Ashford to basically keep an eye on that of Suzaku and to make sure people don't know that he's from that of the special division, alongside with that of certain other characters are also in the manga as well. And also that other movie, in that Code Geass movie called Akira of Exile, where for some reason Lelouch is still alive and Britannia is planning a coup underneath Britannia. Saying, actually, yes, that's kind of the issues. Yes, each and what the manga is just where you call the manga, we call that Universe 247, and as for Akira of Exile, we call that Universe 3410. There are even some universes where characters from for other universes are basically a part of that world, like from from the supposed Gundam franchise. Actually, it's like, oh my god, seriously? It's like, yes, that I am serious. So why did you bring me here? Within soon, the god couldn't help but put his arms behind his back, as for some reason his eyes basically show that of a sullen look, saying, I may be the collective unconsciousness, but in every universe, in every reality, it's always the same. Charles Z. Britannia and his brother Victor Z. Britannia have been always wanting to end my life, to end the world of God and create that of a world free from lies, basically annihilating all free will, but doing so, annihilating everything that makes a person, make people. As much as people are flawed and basically useless and contradicting creatures, that's what makes them interesting. It makes them lovable. It makes them hateable. It makes them who they are. And as God, I wouldn't want to change that. Not one bit. But in every reality, it's always the same. Either Lelouch changes reality, sacrificing himself for world peace, or one where somebody else takes up the mantle and does what Lelouch does. Times when even that of Charles ends up using the sword of Akasha and cause Ragnarok, ending my life in one reality. It's just how it's always been. And personally, it's starting to get annoying, actually. So, I want to see something different. I want to see things change for once. So I looked into that of other realities outside of my own domain, such as your world and the supposed Gundam worlds, Armor Core. Big O saying, oh, hell yeah, I love Big O. With then Jean saying, wait, hold up. So you brought me here? Why me of all people? Why not any other weird anime protagonist who basically would use the power of friendship to basically bring a world like Code Geass to their knees and change it for the better? Saying, with then God basically having that of a raised eyebrow, if he had any, with then saying, right, that's pretty stupid. Code Geass is basically built on that manipulation, lies, and doing what needs to be done from the shadows, while also having that of badass mech fights. I get that. But why me? Saying, why not you? It's not that you're anything special or you are talented in basically gathering people. Actually, you have the ability to gather people. People like you who have that of passion. Passion to wanting to do the right thing after all. And as much as you don't like to admit it, you do like to help others, even with nothing in return. Have you not? But then, Jean remembers the times when he helped out a few friends with that of creating their own, robots, back then in that of middle school and high school. Times when he, helped out some friends create their own security programs to help with their laptops and computers. Even gave away his own personal custom gaming PC to a friend, all because he didn't really need it anymore and planned on making his other dream PC. But even so, it just felt the right thing to do. With then, soon, Jean couldn't help but sigh, saying, all right, what do you want? Saying, I want you to go into that of Universe 1047. It's completely different. There are aspects from both the manga, and also from that of that other movie that basically takes place after the events of Lelouch giving up his life. Saying, if I recall, I think it's Revival of Lelouch, if I recall. I don't know, I never really watched that movie, to be honest, saying, pity. Well, the aspects from that movie will be involved alongside the manga. I'll also let you know as well, when you be part of that world, I will give you at least several options, choices that you can do yourself. Saying, okay, I'll give you 5 choices to decide. Please do not ruin them, and please choose wisely. Saying, okay, all right. But then, taking that of a deep breath before saying, for my first option, instead of giving me that of a nightmare frame unit, I want to create that of my own armor cores. Every armor core I created from that of Armor Core 6. Within hearing that, saying, oh, is that so? Saying, yes. All the armor cores I developed in that game, I want you to transfer over into this world. I will pilot them, and I'll give them to even my allies as well if I believe they can be trustworthy. But then, the god saying, well, I think I can do that. That's easy. What would you want next? Next, I want a select few of people from Armor Core as my main allies, the people I can trust the most out of everybody. Hearing this request, God can't help but say, I think I can work with that. Make it easier, I can give them memories of who you already are, after all. But I will have to say, it will only be that, I can only give you that of 5 people. And that's it. So please, make it count. Hearing this, Jean couldn't help but get excited, saying, alright, first, I want V4 Rusty, or rather, just Rusty. and his armor cores as well. Gotta have the friendliest and coolest, well, double agent of all time after all. My second and third choices, I want Cinder Carla alongside that of her AI companion Chatty Stick. Carla is an amazing inventor and mechanic as well. Also, with that of with her resources, being in charge of ARD, which would be useful in the world of Code Geass. Chatty would be useful given that he's an AI that would be useful for hacking and is able to pilot an AC of his own. So it would be stupid of me not to have somebody of his talent after all. My next choice is I want Kate Markson as well. Within God saying, whoa, you want that woman? I mean, you do know that she is an agent of All Might after all. The psychotic AI. Within saying, right, yeah, I'm aware. But I don't want All Might involved with this shit. In this world, I need those who I can actually work with. Kate was mysterious and also quite psychotic, but a good AC pilot. As long as she isn't connected to that of All Might, that's all that matters, right? If you feel like you can't, if you think she's going to betray me, make her connected to the world of C, where she's the only where I can keep an eye on her alongside you. But then God thinking, not a bad idea actually. That could be useful. That would mean I would have to make her a code bearer. Within realizing saying, you sneaky little bastard. That's the reason why. Within Jean saying, just thought it might be, hey, you keep her in check. I still get a powerful AC pilot all by my side. I call it a win-win. Within saying, all right. You got me there. Now, who do you want for the last one? I'm guessing you're going to be asking for that of Handler Walter. Have somebody that can gather information, keep you in check. Also, other things as well. Saying, normally I would shoot. Walter was actually originally going to be my fourth option. Besides thinking of just using Kate instead. Since I was thinking about using her as my fifth. But actually, there's somebody else I feel like that I want to be part of this as well. That I feel like that I can trust the most. Within, Jean taking a deep breath saying, I want Air, the Rubicomian. Within, God saying, you do know she is basically a being you cannot see, but only hear. And not only that, the only way that you're able to connect with her is through that of human augmentation through your body, especially Gen 4 augmentation. I may be a god, but even I have my limits on how to keep things in check, especially about certain things that go against the natural order of my world. Why would you want to have a being that nobody can hear and see besides only you? With Jean thinking, especially during his time playing that of Armor Core 6, that Air was the one person that was by Raven's side, beside your player, always there for you, even when you abandon her. It's one of the hardest missions of all, because not defeating her, no, but more feeling like you betrayed her. Worst part is, it didn't feel right her not having a body of her own, especially given that she's basically a living being with no physical form. Within getting out of his thoughts, saying, I want to make a deal. Saying, a deal? The world of C can basically do anything. It can erase people's very souls and consciousness from even being a part of it. Hell, it can even give people, even certain Geasses can basically put a person's consciousness in that of another person's body. I mean, Lelouch's basically sociopathic mother took over that of an innocent girl's body, being Anya, before that of V2 could have killed her. With then God thinking, that is a good idea. But she is nothing but just a mere image, and basically a being composed of energy itself. Within realizing, actually, I think there might be a way to give her a body without having to rob somebody else of their body. Not gonna lie, that is the one Geass ability that I regret creating, but The power of the kings is limitless after all. With then coming to the realization, alright then, how about this? If you can basically prevent the Black Knights from being destroyed and disbanded, and making sure that Lelouch's rebellion doesn't truly, fall apart, as you would say, at the end of Season 1 of Code Geass, then I will basically bargain the end of my deal. I will give Air a body of her own. However, like I said, I will only apply the deal if the Black Knights survive the first rebellion and not be destroyed by it. Soon, Jean couldn't help but smirk, saying, deal. The only reason on why the Black Knights failed is because of three things, actually. First, it's because Lelouch basically led almost all of the people of Japan to fight back against Britannia, creating out of a huge ass riot that led to several civilians dying. Second, it also led to that of Ogi getting shot by Valletta, which led their second commander and leader to basically get injured and out of commission, which led to that of Toto being led in charge, but guy's not really much of a commander. A good leader, yes, but not a leader of an entire army. He can lead a squad, but that's only it that he can do. And because of that, it led to the Black Knight being destroyed. However, the main catalyst that leads to the Black Knights being destroyed is that of Lelouch killing Euphemia. It also led to that of Lelouch constantly using his Geass all the damn time, which soon began to be on that of permanent, causing her to Geass her without even realizing it. All I need to do is to make sure that Lelouch doesn't constantly use his Geass almost all the damn time. All I need to do is make sure that doesn't happen. And sure enough, the SEZ massacre would never begin, after all, after coming to that realization, God saying, it is easier said than done, but like I told you, even if you try to prevent it, all you need to do is just make sure that the Black Knights still remain, after all, even without Lelouch. That's all that matters. Saying, alright, well, that's your second choice. Though, just let you know, I've already implanted the memories of you being part of them and about their goal and mission here in this world. You have at least out of 3 more choices left. Then Jean thinking, okay then. With Soon saying, oh, right. I want Coral to be part of this world. With then say, what? You want the living energy source to basically become a thing in this world? You do know on how, yes, I know on how dangerous it is, but let me explain. I don't want the same level of coral power that the fires of Ibis had in Armor Core 6. I want a small fraction of it. Fraction that my team can basically get a hold of. Because if everybody else uses the power of coral, then you know what's going to happen. Saying, that's reasonable. I can work with that. I can give you a supply of that of coral. Just enough for you and your team can last you for at least a good 10 to 15 years. But after that, it's done. Just let you know, the supply and where you can get the coral will mainly be on that of Earth. If you lose that spot to either Britannia's or either that of the EU or the Chinese Federation, just tell you that it's done and you'll have to get it back yourself. But then Jean saying, yeah, figures. It's basically our greatest trump card, but also a double-edged sword. I get it. As for my next one, I want you to add the corporations into this. With then soon saying, are you insane? Saying, hear me out. I want you to make them neutral in this entire war. Either Arquebus and Balaam. I want you to make sure that they only get involved if they want to get involved. Sure, their entire reasoning of being part of Armor Core 6 is because they were looking for that. They're researching and trying to gain that of coral. But instead, how about we make them an organization they're only in it for that of the money? and resources after all. Like, for example, one of them can join up with the Black Knights while the other joins up with Britannia, and they don't really care on either side wins as long as they can get profits from it. Also, their augmented human squads and private mercenary teams, such as the Red Guns and that of the Vesper squads. Dealing with their ACs is going to be annoying as hell, even though it may level the playing field. How about this? Make them that of Nightmare Frame Squad instead, that they only have nightmares instead of armor cores. With then saying that could actually work. It also feed into that of the fact that I can tell that you have plans, don't you? Saying, well, reading my mind, saying someone like that. It's the reason why I chose you, to be honest. Anything else you want with them before I make it so? Give them what they're usually known for. How that of, Balaam is known for using that of high round arsenal after all, while that of Arquebus is known for their lasers. Give Sneasel and his little special task force and Lloyd a run for their money, alongside that of Rakshasha as well. Kinda hated the fact that, they were the only two scientists that actually did shit when it came to building that of nightmares after all. Why not bring in other people that actually can do that shit as well? With Finn saying, all right, this could be interesting. All right, that's your fourth one. What will be your last one? With Finn basically taking that of a deep breath, as this will be the one to make or break decision. With Finn taking a deep breath, saying, I want you to make the people of Code Geass a little bit more reasonable instead of being more simple-minded. With Finn saying, out of the question. Saying, what? But you're God. Yes, I am God. But I am not some almighty creature that can basically change the whims of people as they see fit. That is far from it. I can give you the things that you want. All your ACs, your companions, your coral supply, also that of the corpse as well. But changing the very mindsets of all the human beings of one alternate reality, now that's a hard question. Now that's a hard task for me. That's the reason behind the whole damn Sword of Akasha that both Charles and Victor want to do after all. To basically change a race and basically control all of humanity for their so-called false peace and living in the past. It's that very reason on why It's the very reason on why the collective unconsciousness, cannot do such a thing, because it would basically change us as well. With then soon, Jean couldn't help but sigh, saying, all right. It was a hard decision, but I guess it kind of makes sense. All right then, how about this instead? If season 2 still stays the same like it was in canon after all, a lot of innocent people in Japan are going to need a place to stay. That little temporary HQ that Lelouch had for the Black Knights and all the people who left Japan is good and all, but it wouldn't have made a satisfying HQ of all things. So instead, I want you to create that of the floating city of Xylon. With then, Guy couldn't help but open his eyes wide and saying, smart decision, kid. Both that of a mobile fortress and that of an actual city. It will make a perfectly good base, and it's sizable to actually inhabit that of the people from Japan who leave. Actually, if I think so, it's most likely 2 sizes bigger than even that of Japan than that of the Tokyo settlement as well. So to be honest, it's perfect. However, I'm not going to allow the Black Knights to have it as an HQ, especially during season 2. I refuse to give that of a giant freaking floating city once they most likely and definitely will betray Lelouch. Smart. So instead, we'll make it only acceptable to you and your team. Am I right? Saying, you know it all too well, yeah. Alright, those are your 5 choices. All your ACs that you have created throughout your time playing that of Armor Core 6 will be transferred, alongside that of your allies, V4 Rusty, Cinder Carla, Chatty Stick, Kate Marksman, and Air. Also, with that of the corporations, however, they will not have ACs, but, as you said, Nightmare Frame units instead. You'll also have your own coral supply, but like I told you, it's up to you to keep up with that. If you allow your enemies to take it, I won't be giving you another supply. And Xylon is all yours as that of an HQ base. But I will tell you this, Xylon will only be accepted as currently now and on that of the outer shores of Japan, and close in between out of Japan and Hawaii. So you better make sure to keep that in check. After all, I'll make sure. Don't worry. I figure Britannia will figure this out alongside that bastard Sneasel. After all, so it's under that of a cloaking field. Every time when they're around that area, their instruments will basically shut down as a supernatural precaution. Call it the new Bermuda Triangle. With then saying, for a god, you have a bit of a sense of humor. When you're basically the collective unconsciousness of billions of humans throughout generations and centuries, you gotta have that of a sense of humor with plenty of people, with that of dark humor, of course. Still surprised that you didn't choose this be already part of the world, after all. Saying, why should I? I mean, sure, I may not. As soon as I appear and the rest of the others appear, we're not going to be a part of the world after all. We'll be basically people who don't exist. But that's easy to replicate and change. Remember, Chatty's an amazing hacker alongside that of Carla. And I'm not to brag. Seeing that Code Geass doesn't really tap into that of hacking that much and only focusing a lot more on programming, politics, and manipulation. Being able to hack into that of an entire government system and create an identity for me and my team should be easy. I mean, if Carla can basically hack herself into that of the arena system, how can it not happen with me? How can it not be hard enough for her to hack into that of a whole government system that focuses way too much on social Darwinism and still has that Victoria aesthetic after all? Within God thinking, good point. How about this as an extra precaution? I'll give you at least a good 3 months to prepare for that. Make it easier for you guys to to settle in on the world, get a feel for it and everything. How does that sound? With Jean couldn't help but smile, saying, "You're the best, God." Saying, besides, I'm also doing this because this world needs people like you. This is like I told you, there are several realities where Charles and V2 got what they wanted. They basically ended me and created a reality where no more lies and humanity doesn't think for themselves by merging all human minds into one mind. Instead of changing that world for the better, it ended up destroying all of humanity as a whole. There was basically nothing. The world was basically consumed in absolute nothing. Nope. There was no breed, there was no breath, no heartbeat, not a single thought. Humanity was lost forever because of this, and this is one of these worlds where they ended up destroying the world in the process. I want you here to make sure that this isn't one of those realities. At least in the realities, it ended up being somewhat good. But in this one, they will destroy everything. Even with Lelouch and Suzaku's meddling, along with that of C2's meddling as well, the end of the world would still happen. That's where you come in. You'll know where the thought elevators will be, right? I believe so, yeah. As long as you can destroy all of them, prevent it from happening at all. do, do what needs to be done. Get the job done. Within, Jean saying, you sound like Handler Walter. Within, soon saying, well, maybe so. Within, narrowing his eyes before saying, now get the job done, Jean Vargas. I'm counting on you. With that soon, the world of C begins to disappear from that of his vision, as Jean was soon sent. Almost entire mind goes blank. Before, began hearing a voice saying, Jean, are you there? Saying, what? That voice, so familiar. Jean, it's time to wake up. Realizing air. Whoa. Within, getting out of that of a bed, basically sitting up pretty fast. Within, hitting his head as he's currently in that of a lower bunk bed, saying, ow, okay, that hurt a lot. Within, soon, looking is it being that of a typical bunk room, with that of a few desks, with a few bunk beds, and that of a TV and that of two TVs on that of the far edge. Within, realizing, so, I arrived. With air speaking, saying, yes, we are here, Jean. Saying, and I'm able to connect with you too, Air. Huh. So this is how it feels to be Raven. Saying, Raven, that name, I like it. Saying, wait, you don't know about Raven? I've never met a person by the name of Raven before. Within, realizing, oh my god, please tell me that this isn't an Air that basically didn't meet Raven? And does that mean that I'm her first contact? What, soon, looking at his body, saying, and I must have gone through that of the Gen 4 augmentation. It means it's the reason why I'm able to contact with her. Not gonna lie, it feels weird having that of metal through my skin and through that of my nervous system. I'm surprised that I'm even able to even move and breathe properly, unlike Raven. With then soon Air saying, Jean, are you? I'm fine. I guess it's time for us to meet with the others. Then getting out of his bed and soon leaving that of the room, looking through that of the corridors, as it seems like there's basically nobody here. Within soon Air saying, take a left. Once you go further, make sure to take that of a right. After that, get into the elevator and hit that of floor 1. Within, Jean saying, already, thanks, Air. Well, I don't want you basically wandering around getting lost, Jean. Saying, fair point. As the tan-skinned young man continues walking and following the directions that Air has told him, as he does see that of an elevator and putting that of floor 1. Within, waiting as the elevator goes down, he soon look outside as he sees that of a familiar cityscape that he knows all too well, being that of the floating city, the colony ship, Xylon. Within, saying, whoa, seeing it in person is so beautiful. Within, Air saying, it is quite. Soon, for some reason, as it almost feels like Air is basically right beside that of Jean, as it just feels like she's just right next to him. Even though he can't see her, he could just feel it. As just imagining how she looks, pale white skin with that of a pale, possibly wearing that of a pale suit, with ruby red eyes and snow white hair. As this is Air, the Air that he wants to see in person, not just here. Within, smiling, with soon, Air couldn't help but say, are you okay, Jean? Saying, yeah, fine. With soon, arriving to that of the ground floor, and see that of familiar faces, or rather, hear familiar voices after all. Within getting that of a better look at them, within soon, somewhat of a mature but also somewhat young voice speaking up, saying, "Well, looks like he's finally up." Within I got that of a gruff but also somewhat kind young man voice saying, "Huh, yeah, he is. Hey there, buddy." Within a female in that sounding like that, at least in her, well, in that of her 30s, actually spoke up with saying, "About time you woke up. Don't want to waste any more time just waiting on you after all." With soon, a somewhat synthesized voice couldn't help but speak up saying, "Chief, remember, he's the one that's basically in charge, not you." Saying, yeah, I know." With Jean getting their voices, remembering them all so well, while also seeing that where the voices come from, being their physical bodies, from the young woman as she wearing that of a business suit, skirt, pencil neck skirts with that of stockings, as she has that of a black haircut, bob style, with that of emerald green eyes. This being Kate Markson. The other being that of the man from before, as he having that of shaggy, spiky blonde hair with quite a bit of a mature, rugged look to him, as he also having that of a few scars across his face, as he wearing that of a blue jacket over that of casual combat gear. Actually, this being V4 Rusty, the middle-aged woman, as she has that of dirty blonde hair with that of, well, ebony brown skin, having that of glasses on her, with also wearing that of a brown jacket with a bit of fur on it. Also under it wearing that of a somewhat loose mechanic uniform with a tight purple tank top, and also that of dark baggy jeans as well with that of boots. This being Cinder Carla, and last but not least, being that of Chatty Stick, as instead he's basically an ad of a little robot right now, with a smiley face on it, which moves around in that of treads. With then soon, Jean could help but smile, saying, they look exactly like several fan arts I've seen. Pretty accurate, I won't lie. Within Kate speaking up, saying, "So, sir, what's the first plan of business?" With then everybody looking at that of Jean. But then him couldn't help but smirk, saying, "Simple. Make a foothold in this world that we are in now." As he says that, moving forward past them, as he looks outside of Xylan once again, realizing, don't worry, we won't let Ragnarok happen. Also, we'll take care of a few other threats to this world as well. This I promise to you, God. After saying that, what the future holds for this world of Code Geass is now having to deal with that of a bunch of otherworldly visitors, and also with that of machines that are ready to destroy anything that comes in their path. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Love to read them. Sorry that this didn't have any action in it. This was more of a setup chapter after all. I needed to basically bring up some things from this series. Sorry that the origin story for Jean took longer than expected. Honestly, I didn't think it was going to take that long. Same thing also goes for that of the setup as well. I also had to make sure to be thorough and add a lot of detail. If you guys are curious, this will take like I said, the timeline for this story will take place three months before the events of Code Geass before the canon events of Code Geass. So before the whole Shinjuku massacre. So yeah. Also, as for the character designs for that of Carla, Rusty, Kate, Chatty, and Air, they're basically fan art designs that I found on that of Google which I feel like these designs actually fit their characters way too well, actually. Especially for Carla. Goddamn, the fan art that they chose for her are way too over-sexualized. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted one that was a lot more tame, but also still holds that of her grease monkey look to her, to be honest. But again, that's just me. At any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification to keep to date my videos when I upload on the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, my gaming channel, my main channel, my other channel, my Patreon, and my Cash App. Well, all linked in the description below if I'm not too lazy to do so. So, with all that said, this is Yamuki, signing out. Later, guys, and hope you all take care.